Appreciate you're thanking me, but I'm here to thank you for all that you have done to support this effort. Truly, it does take an army, and this army has been incredible in supporting. We're gonna win this thing, and then we're gonna throw a proper party.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Bearable Bull here. And I got this aggressively average content for you today. As that right there, my friends, was Ripple's Brad Garlinghouse letting the community know he believes that Ripple's about to win this case. And that was from XRP Las Vegas. It was genuinely incredible to see the positive energy amongst the entire community meeting each other for really the first time. I love the positivity that this community brings to each other, and I can't stress this enough. We really are an army, and it's taken a massive one to get this far with all the hurdles we've had to go through. But now, I'm here to give you a brief message, but an empowering message. This is from Waters Above Crypto, and I need to remind you that the last time there was a meme coin bull run, and a meme became very popular overnight, Shiba. This was right before crypto made one last move higher, and then fell out of the sky. Pepe is a setup to push the entire crypto market up one more time before a deep correction into September, October 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe we're right on cue for that. We've seen a recent pullback in the market, but right now I think we're about to get into a nice uptrend. The judge's decision in this case is on standby, ready to be executed. And we're finally gonna get some positive prices. Get ready. It's almost showtime. And now, guys, here from the Black Swan Capitalists, we have that Francis Hunt predicts that there will be a massive price skyrocketing event for XRP and XLM in the near future, reaching new heights that we've never seen before. And I definitely agree with that sentiment.
These guys are head very high security clearance.
So yeah, go ahead.
Ripple, that doesn't mean you can't profit from it. Most things, almost everything you touch is somebody else's money that you're playing on their board game, essentially, and they write the rules.
Like you said earlier, in every crisis, you don't let it go to waste. There's tons of profit to make on this, especially when we're talking about the transition of the global value into a digital ledger. So there's going to be a lot of money to be made here. When we start talking about like XRP,
I think it's going to go up immensely. So, and should you take the profits? Yes, you should.
And go buy gold.
The profits on Lumen as well, XLM and XRP. We have two very big technical macro calls on. And I'd shock you if I gave you the numbers, and I would do a chart share on that. Maybe it's one for a later day, but people in our community know exactly where we stand. And we would.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, what we saw was an incredible endorsement from Mr. Hunt, and I absolutely have been echoing the same sentiment. Ripple and XRP will work together to be the infrastructure of the next generation financial system. It is not a competition. It is the synchronistic rollout. And you all need to understand this. Now, guys, this was a brief video of me talking, but I did want to share this clip from Hugh Electra from Acid Capitalist. This was one of the best explanations of what's currently going on in the world today. And I think all of you should listen all the way through to what this man has to say so that you're better informed into the next days, weeks, and months on what the hell is going to happen. I have plenty of things to go over with all of you in the next couple videos, but this one right now is going to give you incredible context. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Bearable Bull here. Thanks for tuning in. As always, I appreciate every single one of you. Now I'll be back tomorrow with another video.
We just ended on the banks. What do you make of the regional banks right now? Like, how bad is it going to get? real bad.
What does real bad look like? We've already taken out 4 banks already.
Okay, let me tell you what real bad looks like, okay? The panacea of the Treasury announcing that all deposits are federally insured doesn't solve this problem. There is capital flight, deposit flight from the banking sector, okay, seeking yield, okay? I fear that just, and I don't say this lightly, but in 1934, the Federal Reserve Act confiscated gold from US citizens. We're at the point where the Fed and the Treasury officials, I'm sure, are having to consider a gate, a lock on US bank deposits. Let me tell you why.
Wait. Does that mean that you're looking for, we're going to confiscate all the gold, or there's going to be universal deposit insurance, or we're going to stop? What does that mean?
Okay.
What's a gate?
Okay, forgive me, right? So a bank is like a hedge fund, okay? And hedge funds, they put a gate, which is say when you want your money back, they go, we'll call you, yeah? If you're in one of these big, huge, super hedge funds, it can take you 2 years to get the money out. And of course, what we discovered with the iPhone, with the banks, the deposits instantly come out. Secondly, why are the deposits coming out? I think initially, in fact, I do even think initially, the money is coming out because CDs, banking CDs were priced at 10 basis points, and the Fed's giving you 500 basis points. And hard-pressed folk are like, you know what? Boom, Apple, boom, money market mutual fund, okay? And what that revealed was the conceit and the arrogance of a kind of cool idea. The cool idea with the Fed was, hey, banks, like, we're the Treasury, we've got a ton of treasuries to sell. What if you hold it in a hold to maturity portfolio and you don't have to mark to market? Just ignore it. It's on us. People are like, yeah, cool, I'm in for that, right? Okay. Nice idea, except when you get the deposit flight, suddenly it's untenable that you can hold the security to maturity and you have to sell it. When you sell it, you reveal the hidden thing under the iceberg, under the sea. The mark-to-market loss is greater than the shareholder funds. Let's look at Fed data from a Fed paper in March. $23 trillion of banking assets. Of course, that's 1 times GDP, okay?
Hugh,
shareholder funds of
cutting rates.
What?
Don't we just solve this problem? Nice to see you, by the way. Alex is delighted to have you in the studio. Don't we just solve this problem by cutting rates? Then that hold to maturity bucket isn't a problem anymore.
That is wisdom from London. Wow, thank you, Guy. That's what was so off about yesterday. That Jay and the Fed actually aggravated the problem further. They're like, you know, why don't we hike 25 more? Why don't we encourage more deposit flight from the regional banks? It's like, hello, is anyone in?
Hold on a second. If they hadn't done anything and they had said, you know what, we're going to hold tight because the regional banks are having a problem, and they didn't do anything, everyone would have panicked anyway.
Hey, sometimes it's kind of relevant to panic. I would recommend you panic. What I would recommend is transparency and honesty. You know what, folks, I'm speaking to you on behalf of the Federal Reserve. We got a little bit carried away. We raised rates with a magnitude and a rapidity which we regret. We've come to understand that with the profound leverage within our system, that taking rates to 5.25% when debt, and I'm approximating, but it's 4 times the size of the economy, I have now surpassed my teen idol. I have now taken rates beyond where Paul Volcker took rates. And now things are breaking, and therefore I apologize, and we're going to bring them down. The good news is, in 90 days, consumer prices are going to be rising only at 3.5%, and probably owing to how I kind of messed up, we're probably going to be looking at deflationary prices next year. So my promise to you is we're going back to ZIRP. This system only lives, it only breathes when rates are zero.
Okay, so when do we get back to zero?
We have to, well, the Fed's not, clearly after yesterday, the Fed's not going to volunteer, okay? And so we adults are going to have to break more things until they recognize it.
What do you think that looks like? Like, we've already broken 4 banks. Looks like 2 are coming under stress. What's the break?
The break is...
Just more of this.
The break is when the deposit flight is so extreme. I mean, I'm sure on Bloomberg you must be pulling up the M2 series,
yeah.
And you've seen the biggest waterfall decline in M2, right? Now, what that means, that M2's deposits is not loans, right? But what that means is that's the deposits fleeing the system and going into money market funds, okay? When that could reach a crescendo where, like I say to you, the Treasury and the Fed may have to come in and actually restrict your right as a US citizen to pull money out of the US banking sector.
Well, Alex, we have seen kind of things like this happen before, as Hugh mentions. But here in Europe, they basically banned the short selling on the banks when we had that financial crisis. We saw quite significant restrictions in order to try and calm the market down. Are we going to see that kind of thing again? It's interesting. We were talking about this in the last conversation with Rebecca Patterson, and here we are doing it again.
Yeah, and to that point, Hugh, I mean, you can make the argument that, say, for PacWest, deposits have stabilized. They've actually increased, so says the bank, yet the stock keeps getting hammered. Should we, ban short selling before we ban deposit flight?
I think Jay would like that. It's like, hey, let's ban the truth teller. Shh.
But as an investor, is it truth telling if deposits are actually increasing and you're still hammering the stock?
The truth is the price. The price is the genius of when buyers meet sellers and everyone's loaded with their own opinion, their own prejudice, and the same information set. I'll take the market price as opposed to a government decreeing that I'm not allowed to know the market price because I've just banned behavior. When the truth becomes shocking, you have to ban it.
Yep.
You have to review our society and our state of affairs. Is that a system you want to commit capital to? Not really.
Is it time to own gold bars, Hugh? Are we there yet?
It's time to own the most the security, the most reviled security in the universe, the ultra long treasuries. Okay, I know you all think, folks, we got an inflation problem. It was a supply shock, and a supply shock needs the manifestation of more and more bank printing of loans to propel it into the future. We're getting the opposite. So gold, to your point, Guy, gold's just a little bit too loved. If we did a bell curve of distributions, we're a little bit too far to the right. So I prefer to go a little bit too far to the left, to the x-axis where we're zero. I'm talking about the price that on the basis of 40 years of price data, Treasury bonds, the ultra longs, are trading 2-3 standard deviations below. The ETF, the TLT, has halved. It's gone from 180, which was kind of preposterous, to 90, which is, we don't belong there.
So, okay, it was really hard for you to get that out. It sounded like that really pained you. Okay, if it's the long end you want to get into, what else? No gold bars then?
Yep.
Or gold bars with the long end? No.
No, I'm greedy. I'm greedy. I just think what comes next is people puke, right? They just go get me out. I've got to sell something. What will you take? And they're like, I don't want your bank shares. I don't want your steel shares. What have you got? I'm like, I've got gold bars. Yeah, give me them, and you sell them. Okay, so it's revulsion. I've not got the bug. Okay, but Bitcoin is something, Bitcoin at 25,000 is something I could conceive as an asset class.
Yeah.
That it could trade 3 or 4 times higher in the next 5 years. There is no other asset class that I could make that determination. Now, the journey to 4 or 5 times higher, maybe it halves, maybe it goes to 10,000, but with a risk allocation, I can deal with that.
Commercial property, Hugh. What is your view of commercial property right now? Because that seems to be, if I have a conversation with somebody and I say, kind of what's going on out there, we always come back to commercial property. And I'm wondering, in this crisis where the epicenter is it these banks that we're talking about in the United States, or is it ultimately in significantly mispriced assets elsewhere, and commercial property is at the center of the banking crisis, it's at the center of a number of crises that we are going to be experiencing?
I believe is that the number is one of many rotating, evolving crises.
Yep.
And the connection between all of them, because I bring in the world of PE, of venture capital as well. I bring in the world of hedge funds. And what we're talking about, the principal issue is mark to the mark. Yeah, property in the big listed entities. I question that the mark is slow to evolve. I think the mark is overstating the true worth. I think the market knows that. That's why you're seeing profound discounts to asset value open up. And the problem you have is, unlike owning shares in, I don't know, Apple or Microsoft or whatever, like your phone, hey, hit the bid, I want to sell, like done, okay? You can't sell it. It's illiquid. And so it festers and rots within the system. And the worst thing about that is it saps the propensity to take risk. And this economy of the United States, indeed of the global economy, when you take the propensity and the desire to take risk, when you take it away, you're not left with much.
Why do I hold XRP? Because Ripple's the chosen one to lead the new global digital payment system, and they use XRP. In 2013, the Federal Reserve began looking for faster payments options. 2 years later, an action plan was born and a federal payments task force was created. It included one company focused on crypto, Ripple. In 2014, the World Bank and Better Than Cash Alliance, which includes the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Clinton Global Initiative, and the governments of 32 countries, put out a report called The Opportunities of Digitizing Payments. 1 year later, the Better Than Cash Alliance featured one crypto company on their website, Ripple. Today, Better Than Cash Alliance and all other UN initiatives are focused on a single agenda, the Sustainable Development Goals for 2030. You can see the SDGs logo on Bill Gates' lapel, world-leading companies, the Better Than Cash Alliance website, and on the UN's official exchange, Exchange. What crypto is Exchange officially utilizing for their carbon credit solution? XRP. The world will move to a new international standard for exchanging electronic messages between financial institutions by 2025 called ISO 20022. Who was the first ISO 20022 member focused on distributed ledger technology? Ripple. Who's partnered with over 300 financial institutions, including Bank of America, American Express, PNC, Santander, SBI, HSBC, Standard Chartered Bank, Bank of England, India, Singapore, Scotland, Australia, and Indonesia, the largest banks in Japan, Canada, Egypt, the Middle East, United Arab Emirates, Thailand, Morocco, Bhutan, South Korea, Brazil, and Latin America? Ripple. Who is a former employee overseeing the Federal Reserve? Ripple. A former employee overseeing the world's largest asset manager, BlackRock's digital asset division? Ripple. Leading Australia's CBDC effort? Ripple. Who hired a former Treasury of the United States? Ripple. 2 former Federal Reserve attorneys to their board? Ripple. 2 former Clinton and Obama advisors, former Minister of Defense and Economics of Germany, former business director at Swift, former Swift board member, former CFO of PayPal, former head of the DTCC, former chief business officer at Uber, former VP of Amazon, and former SEC chair on their legal team? Ripple. Who's a member of the Digital Pound Foundation, Digital Dollar Project, Digital Euro Association, Mojaloop, IMF's high-level advisory board on fintech, Hyperledger Blockchain Consortium, Open Payments Coalition, Faster Payments Council, Global Payments Steering Group, Cross-Border Working Group, International Association for Trusted Blockchain Applications, Crypto Climate Accord, University Blockchain Initiative, World Wide Web Consortium, and a featured partner of the World Economic Forum with 3 members of their team directly listed on the WF website? Ripple. Now, does Ripple and XRP sound like they're going to disappear, or do they sound like they're part of a much bigger plan? You decide.